You know, history, fate. I'm going to go with fate. Fate, whether you believe in it or not, has a funny way of it's just like playing itself out. Like, I feel like since the inception of this podcast, I have on several occasions, anytime we've talked about theater experiences or we've talked about 3D movies in theaters or what have you, I have always brought up that two experiences that I had, one being Jurassic Park, the re-release of Jurassic Park in 3D, and the re-release of Titanic in 3D, which I saw, it would be 11 years ago now, in 2012, right? It was commemorating the 100th anniversary of the incident, of the disaster. And I've always said that those were the most incredible, you don't understand. If you have an opinion about 3D movies in theaters, but you have not seen one of these films that has been gone back and frame by frame converted into 3D and given the love and attention it deserves to do it really well, then your opinion of 3D, while fair based on the information that you have, is also not 100% informed, because it's just an entirely different experience. And when I told you about these things, Titanic being the more amazing of the two, from my recollection, it was always kind of not sad, but there was like a little bit of somberness to it, because it's like, well, I don't know that they're ever going to do that again, right? That was like for the 100th anniversary of Titanic and blah blah blah. It's just like I'm telling you about this amazing thing, and it's so wonderful. And I wish you could have. You could have experienced it, because it was amazing. And then here we are. Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome to the Movie Men podcast. I am Peter. The sad but now happy co-host of mine is Brady.
But is sick. I am sick.
But
so if
sick.
I sound, getting over the... I recently spent hours fighting for my life in the Northern Atlantic. So it's a couple of sniffles are expected to be, expected to be present.
Yes. We are here today to talk the 25th anniversary of Titanic. And you, the listener, may ask why we're here today to talk about the 25th anniversary of Titanic.
Because screw you, that's why.
If you're asking that question, you're not familiar with Brady and I, both with the fact that we've reviewed the Titanic film, which was episode 50, where Emily Mader joined us. We geeked out for 2 hours about it.
Episode 50.
Episode 50. But even then, after we've reviewed it, it comes up quite frequently, both the disaster, both the film, and James Cameron.
Over 200 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then it was time anyways.
It was time. And listen, I got a sound clip. The audio from episode 50 was not great. That was
Shut your mouth.
No, it
it's
wasn't
echoey, isn't it?
It's not any fault of yours. This was we had 3 people to 2 mics, so that was a difficulty.
We were recording on potatoes. We didn't have actual microphones.
This was pre legitimate podcast mics, legitimate podcast setup. These were entry-level mics, not the greatest, not a great.
I'm pretty sure it was a potato with a wire coat hanger, and
that's what I was using, and I wondered why none of my audio made the episode.
Yeah.
But here, listen to this. It's going to be awkwardly bad just because of the format, but hear me out. I am, the next time it goes in theaters, whether it be 3D or
I recommend it highly. So I saw it in. I've told you this. I saw it in 3D during a re-release, and it was the most incredible 3D experience I've ever seen.
That's interesting.
Jurassic Park was a close second. So they did a 3D re-release of Jurassic Park, and that was really cool.
I'm still sad.
I don't know why Emily's saying she's still sad, but the point is, 3 years ago, 200 episodes ago, you planted that seed, and now that seed has grown into a giant plant, and we're here to harvest that plant, dissect it, and share it with you, the listener.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is, this past weekend, Pete and I both hopped in our vehiculars and made the trek to a theater and watched together. Which also, this is the first, it's also worth mentioning, is this like the first movie we've seen in a theater together since Joker?
Yes, we crossed the bridge of watching a movie together, which was with Carl when we did Face Off, but that was not in a theater.
No. Jeez, man, that felt good. It just, something about it just like, I don't know, it just felt good.
Well, it was fitting too. It wasn't just like, here we are watching,
Cocaine Bear. Yeah, here we go. Cocaine Bear's out. It's time to break the shackles of COVID-19 and just because it's worth it. It's worth the risk. Like whatever happens, let it happen. Yeah. So I was so pumped. And actually, there's a number of people who weren't able to make it. It just ended up being you and me. And so actually, I think in a couple of days, it's still playing. So I think in a couple of days, I'm going to try to get another group of people together and go. So
that's so funny, because last night I was actually looking up showtimes at a more local theater offering it in 3D, and I was like, I wonder if my wife would go again, because I'd probably go see it again.
Yeah, well, especially because it's like, it's just one of those, it's one of those things where like, like I've got the Titanic Blu-ray sitting on my shelf. I can pop Titanic in and watch it anytime.
Any day of the week.
And I do every day of the week. And
as you should.
As I, and so can really any of the people who are wanting to go see it as well. Like it's Titanic isn't one of those like, wow, if we don't see it now, we got to wait, 3 months for it to come out on. Like we have it. We have good quality copies of it. But it's the 3D, which sounds so bizarre because it's like 3D movies have always kind of been a little novelty, a little tacky, a little, not necessarily something that really enhances a movie experience. And also bizarre because normally, at least for me, the 3D thing sort of detracts from the experience.
Yep.
But also, it's bizarre that, like, of all the movies that you would go, does this need some sort of enhancement? Does it need, is this a film that I would want to apply this novelty to? My answer off the street, having not experienced it, 100 times would be no. No, don't wreck it. Don't give me some, I don't need shit popping out at me. I don't need, it's Titanic. Leave it alone.
Right.
It's okay, initial impression. Here's my initial impression.
Sure.
It is the superior way to watch this film. And it's bizarre. It's, to me, the fact that I'm saying that, the fact that I've weighed whether or not I truly believe that, the fact that I've weighed what that means is bizarre. That's the conclusion. It's bizarre to me that that's the conclusion I'm arriving at, which is that this is, part of it is just the theater. Like watching it on the big screen is definitely the way to watch this movie. But again, the 3D conversion is so good and done in such a tasteful way that there's no moment, except for maybe once or twice when there's like a splash of water and the splash kind of comes towards the camera a little bit.
Sure.
Aside from that, there's no moment where you have the popping out at you effect.
Yeah.
It's always and I've described this film in this way several times, but having watched it again recently, I think it holds up. Mm-hmm. It's literally like they've cut a big screen-sized hole in the side of the theater, and what you're watching is actually happening right there. Like it's not popping out at you in a cheesy, tacky way. It's like a window has been opened into this film. And it's just suddenly so much more immersive. It's so much more tangible. It's so much more, and we'll get into that. We'll get into what effect that has on certain moments of the film. But yeah, that's my initial impression is this is the best way to see this film. We didn't see it. It wasn't played on an IMAX screen, and that's, I think, simply just because Ant-Man is also out right now.
But man, I wish.
But so that, I think that would be the only thing to top it. That or in like an Ultra AVX Dolby, like just enhanced image or enhanced audio or whatever, right? Like it's Titanic. There were no moments in this movie where I thought it was too quiet. But because it's Titanic, because it is what it is, and it's the music that it is, and it's the action that it is, pretty much the whole time, I was like, this could be, for my liking, this could be twice as loud. This could be, you know, when the ship cracks, I'd be okay if the bass rumbled my seat a little, because it's I really want to like feel like I'm in it. But yeah, this is 3D Titanic. My initial impression is that 3D Titanic is actually superior to non-3D Titanic. And if you have not seen it in 3D, there's an aspect to this film that you're missing out on. Yep. What are your initial impressions?
Okay, yeah, I think I want to touch on one thing I found interesting when I watched some reviews about the 3D experience, is if maybe playing in Titanic's hand was the fact that it was filmed before the 3D experience. So the fact that it doesn't lean into that like modern day 3D experiences, to your point of, you know, it's not every second scene there's water splashing in your face, and you know,
let's have him aim his gun towards the camera so that it pops out in the 3D. Yeah,
exactly. And I think because Titanic is so subtle in its 3D conversion, it's richer because of it. And someone made that point, and I'm like, I completely can get behind that. But my initial impression,
it just adds depth.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like even in conversations where you've got the out of focused foreground, back of the head and shoulder of someone who's having a conversation, you can just feel the depth between the two people having that conversation. You can feel the physical distance between them.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, great underlying film, obviously, so that helps. But the 3D experience, the 4K experience, amazingly fun. What a hoot that was. I had a lot of fun because you primed me for some of your favorite 3D moments, and when they came, I thought they were great. I enjoyed them, but my 3D moments were different. Favorite 3D moments were different than your 3D moments. I adored the most lull, kind of chill scenes where I literally felt like I was in the Titanic. So specifically, there were scenes in the dining room, specifically of a group of women having tea, and I wasn't even really paying too much to their dialogue and to the characters because I've never seen it on such a large screen and in such high resolution. I was actually drawn in by things going on outside of this group of characters. I was looking at like the decorative ceiling. I was looking at the decorative doors in the background, you know, lobbymen opening doors for people. Like, again, to speak to James Cameron's, you know, incredible set design and everything being accurate and then also the 4K resolution that you don't lose anything and something being grainy or kind of awkward. I literally felt like I was in this room. Like you said, kind of a hole in the concrete, but there. And that's how those are my favorite scenes, because I felt like I was immersed in like the quiet moments of this ship. But yeah, initial impressions, great time. I always forget, I was reminded this week, and I always forget it. I forget that James Cameron is a Canadian. He's an Ontarian. I always forget that.
Yeah.
And I'm always surprised. My only initial impression here is, say you have a friend who's in a relationship.
Okay.
And you love your friend as a friend, and you go, friend, there's nothing wrong about the relationship you're in, but maybe that partner isn't elevating you, or that partner isn't bringing the best out of you, or maybe the time you're putting into that relationship just really isn't fruitful. Like you're not as good of a person as a result of this relationship, and maybe it's just not right for you.
Right.
I went back to my notes from Avatar 2, and I looked and I gave it a 5 out of 10. After watching Titanic, I was reminded of the absolute masterpiece capability that James Cameron is capable of, and now I can't even believe I gave Avatar 2 a 5 out of 10. I want to defund Avatar. I want to fund Titanic 3D IMAX wreckage documentaries and just channel James Cameron's partnerships in different directions. But regardless, that's my initial impression. I'll raise a question for you later on that I'll lead some leading questions to, and get to like a fundamental question about Titanic and specifically its 25th anniversary. But just to wrap up my initial impression, it's just such a fascinating concept that we're watching a movie that if you felt like you've seen it before, you absolutely have. Because there's, I don't mean this in a real derogatory way, but there's nothing too original about it. Essentially, like it's a story that's been done before, like a romance, and it's a disaster that's been done before.
Yeah.
But man, is there something unique about it? And we'll delve into that a bit later. But
I think the way I would say it is, I think that all of the ingredients to this film are ingredients that you've had before in other dishes.
Sure.
But something about the way this was baked, something about, like just the decision to combine these ingredients in the way and in the order that they are, that's what really makes it sing.
And I think maybe, and like, I'm not even commenting on any specific decision-making processes in the making of this film, but I think sometimes you just have to have luck break your way too, where you maybe go on a hunch of picking a certain actor over another, and it works out based on a gut feeling, or, just the climate of interest in, like just things sometimes have to break. Not that hard work wasn't behind it, but also you have to have a bit of luck on your side too for those ingredients to really work.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, like the way it's cast is phenomenal.
It is.
Like Kate Winslet is fantastic in her role.
She is. Yep.
And it's funny because if you go back, if you look at interviews of her going back and talking about her performance in Titanic, she finds it incredibly cringeworthy. Like she's not at all proud.
I did see something about that recently.
She's proud of the movie.
Well, oh yeah. Do you think some of that is just? Do you think a lot of actors are like that, where they look at their own performance and they go, or do you think it's unique to this specific example?
No, I would think it's probably pretty common that's. Yeah, I would say it's probably pretty common that's how that plays out. But yeah, you've got Kate Winslet's fantastic. Obviously, Leo.
Yes. Younger, like in his career, younger Leo.
Yep, he's fantastic. Billy Zane. Billy Zane as Cal Hockley. Like he just really, and it's amazing because anyone, again, if you watch interviews, you read stuff, Billy Zane's like one of the nicest guys around. Right. Like he's such a sweetheart.
Right.
But the way he plays, like never in a movie or any piece of literature have you cheered or really rooted for a character as much when they hork a loogie in another character's face? There's never been a moment where you're like, yeah, that could not have been more deserved.
Never in the history of cinema have audiences cringed so much at the line of, "I have a child."
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Kathy Bates is Molly Brown.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Kathy Bates outside of this, and she rocks this. I'm just not familiar with a whole lot of her work.
She's in Misery. She's the Stephen King thing. She was in I Made You Watch About Schmidt, which was
she was in that?
She's the one that gets naked in the hot tub with
right.
Jack Nicholson.
I do remember that.
Yeah. So yeah, she's in a bunch of things.
Sure.
Frances Fisher as Rose's mother, Ruth.
So, if we had this conversation in episode 50, I would have been like, ho hum, she's fine, and moving on. But coincidentally, I not recently, it was a bit ago, I was talking about this with friend of the show, Andrew, and she pointed out her role specifically. And I've now come to realize how incredible that actor was in bringing alive Rose's mother, because I forget that is an actor. Like, she just comes across as such a stoic, stone cold, not bureaucratic, but
aristocrat.
Yeah, exactly. And you very minimally understand where she's coming from, but mostly you're just kind of building up this animosity against her, going, my gosh, like, I understand the the disadvantages you face as a woman at the time being single and if you have no fortune, but at the same time, like, you're ruining your daughter's life. And in all the years I've watched this film, I've never considered her an actor. I've always just realized that this in my mind, this character was just brought to life. And my long-winded point is, yes, Frances Fisher rocks this role, and I feel like it's an under the radar role that just is there, and you realize, yes, this is not only important but well done.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Gloria Stewart as Old Rose.
Yeah.
Like, so she's 86 or 87 at the time that she films this. She's playing a 101-year-old Rose.
Yeah.
And I was watching an interview lately. She passed away in 2010.
Right.
At like 100 years old or 102 or...
So I'm looking... Yeah, so she was close to being 101, which was in the movie what she was.
Yeah. And what was amazing was, so she was cast before Kate Winslet was cast.
Interesting.
And when she found out that Kate Winslet was cast, she said to James Cameron, she says, I need to meet her. And James said, okay, yeah, sure. They're like, it's not a problem, but why?
Why?
And Gloria Stewart said, because I want to see her body language. I want to see her mannerisms. Because I'm playing her. She's not playing me. And so they hung out together and like cracked a bottle of champagne and just sat and drank and had fun and she learned like how to play the version of Rose that Kate Winslet was going to play just some 80 years later. So that was incredible.
That's an incredible story. Just getting that image of them just chatting it off just to prepare.
But just so many incredible moments too from Gloria Stewart. Like at this point in the game, Gloria Stewart, she started acting in the late 20s.
Wow.
Right. So she was around for a really long time, had a big career through 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And then for a long time, like would occasionally come out of retirement to do some acting. So this movie is like, it's not even like I'm curious here. If I pull up prior to Titanic, so she was in Titanic in 1997. The thing that she was in most recently before that was in 1989. So it's not even like she's like practicing and honing her craft every day.
No.
But she's amazing in this.
Right.
Amazing. So many great moments. There's the it's been 84 years line.
Mm-hmm.
There's the moment that gives me chills, and it's a combination of the writing, her delivery, and the musical cue that happens immediately after. But her phone conversation with Brock Lovett.
Oh, yeah.
Where he goes, I was just curious, Mr. Lovett, have you found the heart of the ocean yet? Which really catches him off guard because as we find out shortly after, everybody who's supposed to know about this diamond's existence is either dead or on that boat as a part of their expedition. It's not like some big, whatever. So, and Rose was smart enough to know, okay, these are treasure hunts. She knew right away. This is the significance. This is, they're not gushing over a drawing of 17-year-old naked me. They're gushing over the diamond that's around my neck.
Right.
And so he says, okay, you have my attention, Rose. Can you tell me who the woman in the drawing is? And she says, oh, yes. The woman in the drawing is me. And it's just like, it's just such a good delivery. But my favorite Rose moment, this is something I pointed out to you, and you had missed it, but then you went back like 2 days ago with your DVD copy and just kind of cherry picked through and watched pieces.
Of note, man, to go from 4K 3D to not even Blu-ray, but to DVD was a real drop off as far as resolution.
For sure. But there's this moment when, Brock is, Rose has first arrived on the Calvish and they're talking to her about they're going over the history or like an animated simulation of like how the sinking happened and all this stuff. And then they sort of explain to her the history of the heart of the ocean, that it was, King Louis wore it. And then when he was beheaded, it went missing and blah, blah, blah. And then they outline their paper trail, which is that there was an insurance claim made the day after, blah, 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 from Mr. Hockley Sr., Cal's dad. And so, and they say combined with the date of when the insurance claim was made and the fact that the portrait that shows her wearing it is dated the same day as the sinking. He says, so it had to have gone down with the ship. And there's just this blink and you miss it moment where old Rose kind of it doesn't even I don't think a smirk is the right. She kind of smirks, but she kind of shoots her eyes off to the side I know something you don't know. Do I disclose this? It's almost like she has a momentary decision she's making about, okay, not yet. Now, it's not the right time yet.
It's the equivalent of when someone might start saying something, then changes their mind and tickles their throat a little bit. You see the instantaneous change in decision.
Yeah, for sure. So
and I've to just piggyback on what you're saying. Like you said, I've watched this movie for 25 years now. Never noticed it. Watched it the other night, and I let out a little smirk, going, "What a fun little moment!"
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Moving on, we have Bill Paxton as Brock Lovett. This isn't a standout role for Bill Paxton, but it's still, there's nothing. It's Bill Paxton, and it's always great to see Bill Paxton on screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little heavy-handed, and I don't think that's even his fault, but, he's written to kind of emphasize the flaws at the beginning of, being kind of extra careless about what he's doing, to then at the end to learn something. So sometimes I felt like his lines were a little heavy-handed, and maybe that's more the writing. But again, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't think it's the standout role of the film. No,
for sure. Bernard Hill as Captain Smith. Not only is Bernard Hill fantastic and obviously goes on to be King Theoden a couple years later. Yeah. If you look at historical pictures of what Edward James Smith looked like.
Oh, yeah.
It's eerie.
Yeah.
It's eerie how perfect that casting was, but also just like what an incredible performance. Like at the start of the film, prior to the sinking, he doesn't have a lot to do. He's mostly there for exposition. He's mostly there to have conversations with Bruce Ismay, to have conversations about not wanting to light the final boilers, not wanting to do this, to talk about the speed. They're kind of just like laying the ground. But literally from the scene where Bruce Ismay and Captain Smith and Thomas Andrews, and I think maybe First Officer Murdoch is in on this meeting as well. When they're looking at the schematics and Mr. Andrews basically, makes it painfully clear. Like we have about an hour, maybe two, right? Like this, it will sink. And what a great line. He's like, "What? This ship can't sink. She's made of iron, sir. I assure you she can." Like it's yes, she can sink. From that moment on, all of Bernard Hill's moments of like just the weight of the situation that's bearing down on him. And there's one fantastic moment where he's just kind of not mindlessly, but just in this daze, and he's kind of wandering the deck of the ship, and he looks down one set of stairs and it's like flooding, and someone like a second or third class passenger comes up with a child and says, Capitaine, what should I do? And he just doesn't even acknowledge her, and he kind of turns away and wanders off. And I think a lesser interpretation of that scene would be, oh, what a dick, but that's not what it is.
No.
It's a combination of he may not have even comprehended what she was saying. Like he may not even have really heard her, even though she's right in front of him. And two is there's no good response he can give her.
No.
Like he understands. He's weighing this situation. He's looking at her. She's a third class passenger. There's already X many lifeboats out there at this point in the game, blah, blah, blah. He's looking at a woman and a baby knowing that they're dead.
Ugh.
And that he just like, the fact that he gets put in a position where he's able to take his own life and hasn't had an aneurysm up until this point is incredible, because he's just so grief stricken with responsibility. And even though it's not, if it is in some part his fault, it's not he can't be solely blamed for this situation.
Oh,
right?
He
wasn't. Yes, he ordered the final boiler being lit and blah blah blah. And there's other historical things that the film doesn't touch on, like decisions that were made and stuff like that. But incredible, absolutely incredible.
And I think, and just piggybacking on that, I think there's definitely, as this film shows with the portrayal of that character, there's guilt just being involved in having a hand in decisions that were made. He didn't design the ship, or he didn't decide to remove lifeboats in its designation, or he didn't like actively lose binoculars, or like all those things that you listed or we didn't list, but you could list of things that went wrong to make this perfect storm. Yep. He still had a hand in it, and therefore we see this character that's just horrified that even though he was one of the many players, he was still a player involved in creating what happened, or at least being in charge while it happened.
And he's also very experienced. Like, he's a decorated ship captain.
Right.
Like, something in the film, I think there's one kind of throwaway line that does express this. But, like, in 2 days when they arrive in New York,
right,
he's retired.
He's walking off into the sunset.
This is his last, he's like, as his send-off for his wonderful career that he's had, he's been given the honor of captaining the maiden voyage of this incredible new world news-making ship. Yeah, no, incredible. Incredible. Yeah. The final casting that I want to touch on specifically is Victor Garber as Thomas Andrews. Like,
Canadian content alert.
Yes, and Victor Garber is good no matter what, but it's just like, especially like his interactions with Rose. He's like, oh, my, young Rose, or my sweet Rose, right? Like he's just this like, he's the one guy related to the ship. Like Captain Smith is a fairly straight shooter, but he's also under the influence of Bruce Ismay, and he's kind of, we don't really get to see a lot of inside stuff from Captain Smith. Bruce Ismay is he's just after the headline, right? Yep. Like, he didn't design the ship, he didn't engineer the ship, he didn't build the ship. He is legitimately just a passenger.
Right.
He is just a passenger. And that's it. He says, do you have any idea who I am? And he says, yes, you're a passenger on a ship and I'm an officer. Yeah. He literally just like had the idea for it and named it. Like that is his claim to this. He's a ship tycoon. He's a mogul, right?
Yeah.
So he's a total loser. And then the ship captains that we have, like Murdoch and stuff like that. And you just, again, you don't get a whole lot from them. But Thomas Andrews is like the one guy who's like ship staff, who's connected directly to the Titanic, who is such a straight shooter and is is not influenced by these ulterior motives. His concerns are safety, right? He's lamenting earlier on in the film that like, I'm not happy about the fact that we have so few lifeboats. Right? Some people, like, he's got a little bit of bitterness in his voice when he says like, it was believed by some that it would, make the deck look crowded and stuff like that. And but Victor Garber's just like, no, you have to get to a lifeboat. But, I'm doing this with or without your help, but without will take longer. He's like, okay, well, get out a pen and piece of paper, because
it's such a convoluted. It's like turn left, then right, then at the second
take
rock.
The elevator down to straight to the bottom. You'll find a crew corridor that go down the corridor, take a left, then a right, then you're like, and you can see like the look on Rose's face is like, I'm not retaining any of this.
I'll just keep yelling Jack and running around.
Jack. So that's, incredible cast. Absolutely incredible cast.
And I want to jump on your Victor Garber comment on this for a second. There's a mixture of things where you're portraying real life individuals in this catastrophe. There's a mixture of some, like Captain Smith, there's speculation. We don't know exactly what happened. Some people say they maybe saw him doing this or that. And then there's some people, where they say, this person refused to go on a lifeboat and stayed with their spouse. There's a mixture of like confirmed eyewitness accounts, what some people did, and then some we just don't know, so we have to make it up. So as far as Thomas Andrews, who knows actually what the real individual was doing or thinking in this catastrophe. But I found it interesting that James Cameron went with the angle of just portraying such a humanized component or humanized character in Thomas Andrews. And it's not just that his role was to say, yep, the ship's sinking, we all need to leave, and then he's gone. The human element really spoke to me in this last viewing, where I think it's when there's the music montage of the band playing, but there's other times too where, you just see him and the ship is on such an angle that his coat is askew and he's, glasses are falling off ledges, and you can only like just you can only guess what, as an actor or this character, but as the real human being, had going through his mind. And kind of like what we just talked about with Captain Smith, by no way was this that individual's fault, but the way that character is portraying that moment, you're thinking that they just must have such immense regret, immense guilt for even just being part of it. Even if, in this example we said where he, his ideas were opposed. It wasn't his idea to make a catastrophic mistake. He was, he was outvoted. He was out-told what to do. But still, because it was his project, he was so involved with it. And because he just had one of the many hands involved in this, James Cameron's decision to kind of go with this human element where you can just read the grief on this character's face and you can immediately just empathize with it completely, going, you have no fault in this, at least in the way that you're portraying this. But you, by no means can you just shrug it off and just go flee for your lives. Like you are, I just thought that human decision to portray that character in that way was an example of a really strong character. And it's not the only strong character in this film.
It is worth, this doesn't really have anything to do with, well, I mean, it does. So one thing about the film and a creative decision they made that has always not rubbed me the wrong way. I don't count it as a demerit, but it is something that I do often feel the need to clear up, just with like historical accuracy wise.
Sure.
Bruce Ismay does survive. He does get in a lifeboat and he does survive. But it's not this like sneaky cowardice thing the way it's portrayed in the movie. He spent a significant amount of time like getting women and children into lifeboats and acting saving lives before saving his own. So, I mean, it's,
and there's something
ultimately
to be
neither here nor there, but
and it's that complicated line too, because James Cameron is trying to tell a story, and to a degree he's using that character as an archetype of some of the downfall and the hubris that led to Titanic being the way it is. And it's kind of a gray area, right? Because like you're saying, that's maybe not a true representation of a human being's full, sincere moments of intensity during an emergency, right? And it does give kind of the wrong impression with what happens in the film of maybe not being the most accurate of what happens. So that's an interesting point for sure.
I think the reason why I like to clear it up for people is only because I think creatively for the film, doing it the way they do it serves the purpose it needs to.
Absolutely.
And so I don't...
And even in that moment, like when he's holding his breath, I'm holding my breath. And then when the boat goes low enough that he's out the field of vision of the crewman, he takes a breath again. And you're right, like dramatically, it's used for a purpose.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets me sometimes is I'm just like, are the... Like this is somebody's grandfather.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so like the grandchildren or the great grandchildren of Bruce Ismay that are alive today.
Yeah.
And their grandfather, great grandfather is portrayed as this cowardice ass. Right. It's just like one of those things where I'm like, I see you. Like I wouldn't change it in the film because I don't think there's really time for it. And I don't think we benefit from seeing Bruce help people.
Yep.
Like, I think it weakens that character from a storytelling standpoint. But I just like to acknowledge that that was a slightly animated version of that character.
Yep. No, that's fair.
Let's talk about 3D stuff though, because that's I mean what we're here for. So my moments, the moments for me where it's everything, but the moments where the 3D really wows you. The underwater stuff where there's like particulates in the water.
Yeah.
Right? Just these like free floating, whatever they are, algae, plankton, or just rusty bits of ship that have flaken off, or whatever it is. That looks incredible. I already talked about the conversations, just sort of like this added depth in conversations. That looks incredible.
Yes.
Anytime that the camera pans up to give you a bird's eye view of both a part of the ship and the water some 100 feet or whatever it is below.
Yep.
Almost gives you this knot in your stomach, I'm in a really high place feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like specifically the first time it happens is when Rose is hanging off the back of the ship and she's considering jumping. And the camera kind of pans up goes up and pans down to show you her, the ship, and then the water below. And it's just this like, the depth feels real. Like it feels like there's this big distance that you don't get in the same way when you're not watching it in 3D. So that's incredible. The other real moment for me, I mean, the 3D kind of comes and goes in its wow factors in the first half of the film. It really becomes incredible and gets punched up once the sinking starts. Just because there's so many different angles that are happening and big action pieces and stuff like that. So there's a lot more there to kind of wow you.
Sure.
But specifically, once the ship has sunk and we're in the water, barring one or two shots, James Cameron made a creative decision to shoot the majority of those shots at face level. If you were actually floating in the water yourself, struggling in the water, like they're all, you know, there's one like big panning shot that shows you just how many people are struggling. But aside from that, it's all like, you know, like some guy pulling Rose underwater and Jack punching him and them struggling to get over to the door to float on and all this stuff. And it's all shot at face level. And because of that, it just something about it, it works so well with the 3D. Like it just has this like super immersive feeling. And as a result of it being so immersive, as a result of this being a version of the film that sucks you in more and makes you feel more like it's actually happening and you're there and you're a part of the action. A lot of the deaths, like people falling off the ship, or again, once the ship is sunk and time has passed and the lifeboats have come back and you see all these frozen to death bodies, it hits in a different way. Because it's a little more real. It doesn't quite feel the same as when you're just like looking at a screen. It's, you know, there's the body and it feels like it feels like this sea of floating bodies is just an extension to the room that you're sitting in watching this movie. And it just hits in this like really spectacularly horrible way. But I say that as a positive thing. I say that as like a merit to the film. So those are the big 3D things for me. But again, like just everything, like, you know, if you see a long corridor and you just see the shot down the like a long corridor of the ship, it's just, there's just so much depth. Like it just looks phenomenal. In every scene. There's not a single moment. You go to see a regular 3D movie and some scenes are like really incredible and you're like, oh wow, that looked really cool. But then there's a lot of scenes where you're like, oh, like this does not benefit from 3D. This is being hurt by it because my eyes are struggling. There's either too much shaky cam going on or there's this, that, and the other thing. And my eyes are really struggling to translate the two images into one 3D image. And so I'm getting like, it's kind of dizzying and I'm kind of seeing double in spots. Maybe it's a little blurry from time to time. Like it's not this pristine image. There's no time that you're not supposed to feel dizzy in this movie that you end up feeling dizzy. Like it's just so, it's like every shot was, and I think that's the benefit of doing like you said, it was not intended to be in 3D.
Yes.
And so,
exactly.
so the gimmicks aren't there. But also, this is something, when you're shooting something with 3D cameras, you're just shooting it, and what you get is what you get. Whereas this is like frame by frame.
Oh, jeez.
They're going through this 3-hour movie, frame by
3
frame.
hours. Yeah.
And
that's a lot of
making
frames.
decisions in every single frame about the effect and about what is going to be impacted by the effect and to what extent. And therefore, you just get this incredible product. Product. What are the moments? So you talked about the tea party scene. But what are some other moments that really just like, you were like stood out to you as a different experience than if you had just been watching Titanic
at home
in 2D?
Yeah, I think I will just stick with my example of, say, subtle dinner scenes, subtle conversations where I felt like I was there. Maybe not specific to 3D, but really some scenes that stood out were, I think, some of the nighttime backdrop scenes.
Oh, yeah, with all the stars.
So that was 100%, where Leo is, having a cigarette before the back of the boat incident.
Oh, laying on the bench.
Looking
on the
up
bench, at the sky.
And you just see him looking at the sky. Incredible.
Which that sky's been changed, by the way.
Oh.
That is not the... Okay, so that, if you were to pull up your DVD copy and pull up my Blu-ray copy to the exact same timestamp and pause them on two screens side by side, they'd be different images.
Interesting.
Because
Why?
your DVD copy is a night sky.
Okay.
My Blu-ray copy and the version that we would have seen in the theater last week is this night sky the way it would have appeared that night.
What?
In that location.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
Like, that is so insane.
Yeah. Because that's technology that we have, right? Like the night sky is constantly changing.
Yeah.
They covered that. I don't think, you didn't watch Moon Knight?
No.
So one of the things in Moon Knight is they're like, there's something about the sky needed to be the same as it would have been 3,000 years ago when the curse was first made, blah, blah, blah. So they changed the sky, right?
Yeah.
Stars move through the galaxy. We move through, our solar system moves through the galaxy.
Sure.
And the night sky just changes, right? Like depending on the time of year and all kinds of things. And so, it was like, no, this is the April 14th, 1912 night sky at this part in the Atlantic.
I will never fault a great movie for becoming more authentic or more real. That's definitely not something that I thought needed improvement, but it's interesting.
It's just such a nice touch. If you can go in and you can do it in a way that's not going to hinder anything, right? It's not like a George Lucas thing where now there's this massive CGI rock. How did R2-D2 even get back into that little cave? There's this massive rock in his way, right? This is just like
but that's that first nighttime scene would stick out. And the other thing I would say is I've always loved that artistic purpose of having the panned out shot during the sinking where the ship is maybe 1/100th the size of the screen to show just how insanely massive the ocean is. And this massive ship with flares is just like a little speck that
how truly in the middle of nowhere they are.
How truly hopeless and in the middle of nowhere they are. And so visually, just from like a cinematography perspective, beautiful shot. But from moving the story along or conveying something, what a horrifying, chilling, effective scene. So that those two scenes just being on a theater 4K, not necessarily that the 3D component really changed it. It didn't hurt it, but those two scenes on the big screen were phenomenal.
What I always like to think about in those nighttime scenes is that, so there was no moon that night.
Oh,
it was a perfectly clear night. but for whatever, I don't know, the moon was just, I don't know. I don't understand how that stuff works, but there was no moon.
Sure.
And so every shot in this film during the sinking, even the darkest shots, are, for the sake of it being a movie where you can actually see what's going on, are about 3 times brighter than they actually should be. It was pitch black. It was so, especially once the power went out on the ship. And James Cameron, like, one of the things, so because they had all kinds of like historians on set, right?
Sure.
And James Cameron had to fight back and say, like, no, I need to add more lights. I need to put more lights on the ship so that we can light these scenes. One of them being one of the ones that would stand out the most would be the lights that sort of shine up on the smokestacks.
Oh.
Those wouldn't have actually been there.
Interesting.
Right. So they look incredible, and it was the right move to do to add them for the film. But it was pitch black, which is why. So until we found the Titanic in the 80s, one of the things, like, there were a lot of things that we debated and we weren't 100% certain on until we found the Titanic and we were able to confirm these. And one of those...
To piece things together, yeah.
Yeah, and one of those was whether or not it actually did split in half.
Right. Yep.
And because there were a lot of people who said, yes, it did. I was there, it happened. And there were a lot of people who said, I was there, no, it didn't. No,
like
it
in
didn't.
any event where people can see different things from the same event.
Because, and I watched a YouTube video where a guy kind of explains it. And it's like, okay, well, if you were in a lifeboat and the lifeboats were rowing away from the ship because everyone was worried about the suction, right? Yeah. Everyone was worried that when the ship goes down, our boats need to be away from that. So people are rowing away. The power's gone out. So it's pitch black. You can't see the ship. Right? If you're rowing and you're 200 meters away, you hear screaming, you'd hear it split, but there's all kinds of like loud creaks, like the ship's making all kinds of noise as the steel is getting stressed from the weight and all of this stuff. And so that's one of the reasons why that debate pursued on for so long, was because there were people who were there within 100 feet, 100 meters, whatever, of the Titanic when it split, but it was just so dark and it was so loud and so much was happening that they didn't know that it split.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. There's a moment I want to ask you about.
Sure.
Because this is really funny to me. Yep. So going into the movie, and this is probably much to do about nothing, but I want you to be honest. Sure. Going into the movie, you were, you made it very clear that, you have the bladder of a 92-year-old man, and that at some point you were likely going to have to excuse yourself to go to the washroom. Yeah. And I told you that wouldn't be an issue for me. Like, I'm not going to have to go, and I didn't.
Sure. You didn't.
But what was really funny to me, and I think you know where this is going.
Maybe.
What was really funny to me is you were like, you were just like sitting there, and there was like, I wasn't getting a peep out of you. And then all of a sudden, it was the clear beginning of the scene where Rose is going to take her clothes off so Jack can draw her. And the second that scene started, not even like the nudity hadn't started. It was just like, it was the inside of the staterooms, and okay, this is the scene where it happens. You instantly turned to me and you're like, I have to pee. And you got up and you left. And I thought to myself, I laughed because I was like, was he holding it so that he could miss 3D naked Kate Winslet? Like, is that like a thing that he's worried about? And then ultimately you came back.
Oh yeah,
before she even disrobed. So like you were still there for it, but it was just so fun. And then when you came back, I was like, is he kicking himself for coming back too soon right now? Like what happened? It just seems so funny to me that, like, of all the moments, like if you were to ask me at what moment in this film is Pete going to try to miss by excusing himself to go to the washroom, I'd be like, oh, it'd be Maybe the scene with the nipples. I mean, like that's the moment he's going to try to avoid, if he's going to try to avoid a moment. So unwrap this parcel for us and help me understand what
two things.
What transpired.
I did miss some of it, but I came back for, I would say, the majority of it.
Okay.
So that is the first part. So I did come back for the majority of it. And I feel like it was just like it was, 80% I did have to pee. But it was a decision I made. I think I maybe even DM'd you it ahead of time. I was strategic about it, and I went, okay, a 3.5 hour movie, I will want to pee. Like that's just how I roll. And so I thought, what's the most scene that I could get away with missing that like I'm okay with? Like, it's not the estate rooms feeling like I'm there. It's not looking over the propellers when the Titanic is creaking, or the lifeboat scene when, everyone's floating there. It was just like, okay, this, I've seen it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. I don't necessarily need to see every moment of it on the big screen, and I ultimately did. So it's not that I dislike the scene or didn't want to watch it. It's just, you gotta make your decisions and prioritize things, and that was my opportunity, and I stuck with it.
All right, it was just so funny to me. It's like this, like, oh, yep, okay, right on cue. There it goes.
We'll see you later.
We'll see you when this becomes PG-13 again.
And then as soon as they went into the car and fogged things up, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go pee again.
I got it. Yeah. Oh, shouldn't have had that popcorn. I'm got the rumbles. Yeah. It was so funny to me. It was so funny. Do you have anything else?
I actually have a few things that I do want to go through.
Sure. Yeah.
So chime in. I think the way I'll say it is I'm going to say what my opinion, what my experience is leading up to a question, and maybe an answer I've come to it, and then you can kind of weigh in either if you have an answer for this underlying meaning or significance of the film, or you'll get what I'm saying. You're a human being. You can interject when you need to, but I think the two things that I'm trying to juggle with what this film means is what is unique about it as a film, and what's unique about it is this tale that it's been telling. So when I look at this as a film, I would say The Two Towers in 2002, Top Gun Maverick, and this are my three. They're not all 3D, but they're my three most favorite movie-going experiences. And, they all have very differing levels of storytelling on all the things that they're doing, but that's not the point. I'm just saying this film, when I saw it the other day, it's ranking really high in my experience of seeing a film. That has never changed. I've always enjoyed Titanic. Just because something is about Titanic, though, doesn't mean it's going to be a good film. So, this is my favorite Titanic-related film, and I've seen a ton. And we talked about some of the garbage I've seen. I've seen Titanic.
Rise the Titanic.
Okay, listen, hold up. Rise the Titanic is not good. It's on my list.
I'm glad
it's
we
not
agree.
good. But it fundamentally, and maybe it just speaks to my desire that I just wish they could raise the Titanic in real life. But there was some romanticism in when I watched that film going, you know what? It's dumb. It's kind of a side plot that the Titanic is involved. But it's still fascinating, just this concept, and even if it's not visually great, it's just the Titanic above water again. And there was something about that I thought that was interesting. Titanic 2 is god-awful. We've talked about that in the past, where it's just so bad.
So Raise the Titanic, something interesting about that we were kind of talking about. So we found the Titanic in September of 1985.
Right.
Raise the Titanic came out in 1980.
Yes.
And part of what made that the notion or the premise even remotely plausible is that in that film, she's in one piece.
She's in one piece. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen other renditions of the Titanic disaster. So there was this movie from 1979 called SOS Titanic.
Okay.
Which It was interesting for two reasons. One, I found this out. It was the first Titanic film in color, and they actually recycled and used some footage from the famous film A Night to Remember.
A Night to Remember, yeah.
But just colorized it. So I thought that was, in some ways, kind of corny, but at least it's a milestone of being the first color Titanic film.
Well, with a budget of only $5 million, you gotta...
And, you know, it doesn't do as good of a job as Cameron did with like mirroring upper and lower class. Like it really is a staggered story of first, second, and third class, and it interweaves and isn't bad, but it isn't as powerful. The one interesting thing is that it has the actor from 1997 who played Lovejoy, the side henchman who's also kind of a douche. He was actually
David Warner?
lead. Yeah, he was the lead romantic interest in this 1979
Lawrence
film.
Beasley.
Yeah.
Ian Holm is in it?
Yes.
Helen Mirren is in it?
Yeah. I watched this a fair amount when I was a kid.
Okay, I am adding that to the...
I mean,
gotta watch
temper
this.
expectations. Like,
Oh, sure.
yeah. And then obviously there's the famous A Night to Remember. I've seen it once, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. I honestly forgot most of it. I've seen a 1996 made-for-TV Titanic film, which stars Tim Curry and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So my point of all this long-winded of, I'm not just trying to brag of all the Titanic movies I've seen, but it's a humble brag. My point is, there's been a lot done on Titanic, so it's not like anything that just touches Titanic because of the subject matter is guaranteed to be good. So my point is, this film was an exceptional movie-going experience, and it's about an interesting subject matter, but it's just such a unique thing. So my question is, why is this film fascinating? Why is the event fascinating? And what's so unique about this film? And I wonder all this because, you know, an individual might say, you know what, Peter? It's because this movie was made for teenage girls, and the Leonardo DiCaprio scenes, but love interest and the heartbreak, that is why it's different. But I go, you know what? Romeo and Juliet came out a year prior, and like that is the classic of all classic tragedies and heartthrob material for teenage girls. And it had its success, and coincidentally, it drummed up the success for Titanic, because I was reading an interview where that was released while they were filming, while they had cast Leo, and James Cameron was in a good way rubbing his hands going, hey, this'll work great. Like his popularity is growing to one of our target audiences. But my point is, you know, it's not just the DiCaprio heartthrob angle that makes this film different. And it's not even just the Titanic disaster film. Like, I don't know, when I'm thinking about this, like there would never be a movie about September 11th where there's two 17-year-olds and, you know, of different class or distinctions. Like, I am just trying to pinpoint what is so unique about this film and this film's representation of the events. And the only answer that I could come up with, and I want you to weigh in and say, do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it something else? Is it 12 things that it's just each person has something different? The only thing I could come up with that it's just different and it does well is that it has this underlying message of choosing love in the face of fear. And this is not my thought. This is from someone else that I heard. Choosing love in the face of fear, whether it's the fear of death, horrifyingly by the end of the film, or whether it's fear that you get from different class hierarchies and breaking boundaries and doing what you're comfortable with instead of what you're expected to do. And I ultimately heard this answer, and that kind of appeased me. That went, okay, maybe that's what separates Titanic, because we've seen other love stories with Leonardo DiCaprio. We've seen other disaster movies. We've seen other well-made films of James Cameron's, but they are not taking me to the theater 25 years later to record a podcast episode about. And I found that answer that I came across, I found at least was a bit of checking off a box for me. What do you think about that?
That could be part of it. I think it's a number of things. I think it's, you know, there's the technical spectacle, which is this film.
Fair.
Right.
Yep.
There's the visuals and the level of filmmaking that was groundbreaking at the time, and in some ways is an art that's been lost, right? Because if that movie was being made today, so much of it would be green screen, so much of it, like, they would not have built as much of an actual ship on these hydraulic gimbals so that they could actually, like, change the angle of parts of the ship. Like, so part of it is that. Part of it is, it's just, as much as people like to hate on the romance aspect of this movie, that's the aspect that humanizes it. That's the part that puts us in this. We're able to witness the sinking through the eyes of Jack and Rose. Two characters from two wildly different walks of life, which serves as a powerful story, not only about breaking down the differentiation of classes, but also increases your ability as a viewer to find someone to be able to relate to. Right? So maybe you're watching this film with Rose but not Jack is something that someone from a lower class, poor background can't empathize with, and vice versa. Right? This film with Jack but no Rose is something that if you're, you come from a silver spoon background, you can't relate on the same level. So there's that. Then there's the sort of the feministic view, which is that she not only is it about classes, but it's also about gender roles,
big time,
and gender roles specifically in this era in the 1910s. But a lot of it has not been cleared up. Even to today, right? So, like, one of the things that, like, they don't flat out say this, but you can kind of piece it together. It's not so Cal and Rose are fiancés. They're engaged.
Yep.
But Cal didn't propose to Rose. And Rose was so infatuated with him that she accepted. I'm pretty sure Rose has been betrothed to him.
Right.
Because
that's true.
He's still trying to get her to, he's like, open up to me. He's trying to get her to fall in love with him.
I've never considered that, and that's quite true.
Right? This is I'm rich, and you're the girl I've chosen.
Right.
And as a rich man, I get what I want.
It's very much Gaston vibes from Beauty and the Beast.
And I'm pretty sure the only person that Cal had to ask was Rose's parents.
It's true. Mother, basically.
Basically the mother, because the father's gone.
Yeah.
So he would have said, I'd like to marry your daughter. And Rose would have gone, sorry, who? And Ruth would have looked at Cal and looked at the money and how that could fish them out of the situation they were in and said, yes. Yes, you can marry my daughter.
Yep.
Right? Rose has got no interest in this. She's basically a tag-along.
Yeah, exactly.
So
She's the inconvenient part of this equation that's necessary.
So that's the part that in many ways has changed, absolutely. But there's also a moment where, when there's this conversation that happens between Rose and her mother, when her mother's like doing up the corset for her, and she's she's saying like, I don't want to marry Cal, and Ruth is saying like, he's our best chance at survival. Like the money's gone, all we have is our name, blah blah blah, and she says, Rose says it's not like, this isn't fair. And Ruth says, of course it's not fair. We're women. And that's something that in many ways has not changed. So that still rings true. And so it's so many layers, right? It's the fact that no Titanic film looks as good.
Yeah. Oh no.
No Titanic film has the same sort of drama, like even Titanic films that have been made since this, because it's nothing that's been made since this is a big blockbuster film, right? It's stuff like Titanic 2, where a tsunami throws an iceberg into the wave. And so it's just so many things. It's an incredible cast who you can fall in love with. It's the drama, it's the romance, it's the scandal of this forbidden love. It's the way that the impending sinking is constantly foreshadowed. We're gonna go faster. We're gonna do this. It's super calm. That will make the bergs hard to see. Yes. Like it's just so it's pointing out, little historical accuracies, but pointing out little things that also work really well for the storytelling, which is, has anyone, did we end up finding the binoculars from the crow's nest? No, I haven't seen those since we left Southampton. Right. And it's just so good.
I think what you're describing, I think another answer I might have is that I think as equally as Titanic is a significant component of this story, I feel it's just as equally just a backdrop for the story that's being told.
It is, absolutely.
Like the more relatable or the more transcending things that are being told that, it would be, I'm not minimizing this at all, but you could tell them in a different setting and they'd still have the layers, and it's just such a layered component to a horrific tragedy. I think that would maybe be something I'd say.
The film of Titanic is Romeo and Juliet set on a relatively historical setting, historically accurate setting of this ship that sank.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's not a movie. It's not a movie specifically about Titanic. It's about a love story with different classes and forbidden love,
and tackling all these other aspects of good storytelling
that is placed in this really fascinating setting of this that plays like the ship sinking is not the focus. It's a set piece. It's a plot point.
Yeah, right.
It's another hurdle. It's a fork in the road.
Right.
Yeah.
It moves things along.
So good. There's I just looking here at different Titanic movies. So you asked me which ones I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen this one. I've seen A Night to Remember. I've seen Raise the Titanic, and I've seen parts of Titanic too. But I had too much.
Sorry. I want to stop you at Raise the Titanic. One more tidbit. Mr. Dickovich from Spider-Man 2 is in Raise the Titanic, a much younger Mr. Dickovich.
That does nothing for me.
Sorry, I cut you off.
What
did you say after that?
Actually, oh my God, really? I didn't know that. I'm going to change my review instantly.
It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Sorry, what did you say after?
I'm going to give it my first 11. I'm
Put that in 3D 4K.
So I've seen those. Next to Titanic, though, like none of those others would make my top 3. What does make my top 3 is stuff like the James Cameron documentary where they go back and kind of test some of the accuracies of, like let's debunk some myths, some mysteries. Let's find out for sure if the way that we portrayed it is actually accurate. Like there's an incredible documentary from just a couple of years ago like that. There's also a documentary series out right now. It's a television series that's airing right now, which is a scientific expedition done by James Cameron. And one of the things that he tackles in this is, okay, scientifically, let's put to bed once and for all, could they both have gotten on that door and survived?
Right.
But so I was looking through a list of Titanic films, and there's one that I had not seen before.
Okay.
Came out in 2022, came out just last year. And I would like to, I'm not going to like force you to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to task you with it. I think it's something. It's called Titanic 666.
Oh, no, I've read this. This is the dumbest piece of crap on earth.
Dark forces from the deep rise to the surface, terrorizing all aboard from Titanic 3 and threatens to repeat one of history's greatest disasters.
Yeah, they've skipped past, it's like, no, Titanic 2 has existed in this storytelling universe. This is number 3.
Yeah. That's
so bad.
Wow. That's something that ends careers. That's someone who's like, I'm trying to get into acting, and I just kind of want to act, and like, I just whatever I can get my foot in the door with. This, sweetheart, this was a mistake. This is your first and last acting job.
Credit. Oh man.
What in the? Yeah, and I'm looking at like the IMDb of the casts that were on, like, and it's like
Please
nothing. None of these people are in anything else that I've ever
heard of.
Which I guess is probably a good thing, because you wouldn't want to go from like, oh yeah, this was the guy. Okay, right, he was in the Green Mile, and now he's doing Titanic 666. Like, that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, you can only go up from there.
Yeah. Z Nation, Condemned.
A couple of things I'm going to quick run through while you find a way for us to rent Titanic 666.
Oh, I found one. Yeah, we can watch it tonight.
Oh, great. I'm so pumped. I did come around. I think at times I've always been critical of the love story. Not that I disliked it, but I think it's just been the whole, they say they love each other, but they've only known each other for 48 hours. And they may have feelings for each other, but they're really just juvenile. And honestly, if the Titanic hadn't sank, I think it may have just been a 50-50 if it had lasted long term.
I agree.
But actually it changed my mind when I watched this. I went, you know what? I've never before thought this way, but I buy it now. When she says, I love you, when he's dead and they part ways tragically, going through that much of a near-death experience, in her case, and a death experience for him, and that survival on the raft together, I've always scoffed at it, that I love you, but this time when she delivered that line, I was convinced of it. I went, you know what? I get it. I think I've overlooked the human element of that before, and I think maybe in that circumstance that I can buy it.
Jack is the first person who has ever shown an interest in what Rose wants.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So even like when she's in the lifeboat and she jumps back out of the lifeboat, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes and he calls her stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's she kind of says that's kind of it. He calls her stupid for doing what she did, but doesn't, at no point does he tell her what to do. He doesn't reprimand her for it.
Yeah.
Right. She says, she just says, you jump, I jump. I couldn't do this without you. And he goes, okay. It not necessarily because he agrees, but because he respects that that's the decision she's made. And so for a 17-year-old who has only ever been told how you're going to dress, how you're going to act, who you're going to marry, this is
revolutionary.
It's as real as any love is ever going to be. It's this incredible. And you know what? Would they have stood the test of time? If he had lived to 101, would they still be together? I don't know. Maybe not. Mm-hmm. But part of it is that, when she says he exists now only in my memory, and she's still pining after him all these years, it's because she's not necessarily even pining for him
romantically. She's
pining for that love that they shared for 2 days.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think related to that, I think a lot more human emotion was conveyed for me in this viewing. And this is where it bleeds into there's a film, but then maybe also the real human beings in this circumstance kind of spoke to me. But just the survivors, because it was a chaos enough just to get a spot on a lifeboat, but just the survivors in the lifeboat, where for maybe a 10%, you've got a relief that you're on this lifeboat, but just mixed with the horror of just listening to screams for 3 hours, and then this incredible uncertainty of just waiting and hoping that a ship comes, that you're not just lost at sea.
Yeah, because all this time, the Carpathia is on its way.
Sure.
And anyone who's fascinated by Titanic stuff, I actually would encourage you to see if you can find a documentary or read some facts about the adventure that the Carpathia goes on from the time that it discovers. Oh yeah, like it passes another ship that is like ice locked. Like it's basically at this point it is speeding in the same dark water on the same moonless night through the same ice field.
Yeah.
To try to go, it's risking its own well-being to go and try to save these passengers and not knowing what it's going to arrive to. Jeez. Yeah, no, it's because, about 30 to 40 minutes before the Titanic actually flounders, their signal goes out, right? There's no more communication from the Titanic. So nobody even nobody's getting status updates anymore. Oh yeah, no, the Carpathia story is actually really fascinating. I would recommend someone dive into that.
That would be interesting. Speaking of radio silence, signals not coming, I think that's another human element of just being in the radio room, trying to just send distress messages. I just hoping for a response, and every time just, other than the Carpathia, which they did respond, but you're hoping for something more immediate, more close, more definitive, and just every time, just nothing, just silence. That would be excruciatingly demanding and stressful and heartbreaking.
That's another, that's another thing I would encourage. There's just so many things I could encourage people to look into. But the story of Jack Phillips and Harold Cottam,
okay,
who were the wireless operators, and what they it's just incredible. Like how long, and some of this is shown in deleted scenes.
Yes.
You can dive in and see some deleted scenes. But just
because in the movie itself, I don't think the movie itself really delves into them that much.
No.
The deleted scenes do a bit more.
But they were there until the end and really doing everything they could to, they sacrificed themselves to try to save everyone else. Similar to and it's not really talked about. They don't dive into it, but they do show. And if you can piece it together, right before the power goes out and the ship splits, you see workers flipping switches trying to keep the power on. And there were people who could have gotten out much earlier and maybe stood a chance, but stayed and committed themselves to trying to keep the power on as long as they could.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy stuff.
Crazy. And I think just the human elements that are also just kind of overlooked because it's just a brief glimpse in time, but just the trauma that I can't even imagine stepping on a boat again after surviving something like that. And I was reading about one survivor, Ruth Becker, who was 12 at the time, didn't get on a boat until she was, I'm trying to do the math. She waited until 1990, so I guess that would make her probably 90 years old. But yeah, she, I can't even imagine the trauma of overcoming something like that. And just the human element. I think the human story really stuck out to me when I watched this too, just because even when you watch disaster movies, I'm thinking of maybe movies where flights go wrong and people are critiqued about their decision making. And, it's easy to critique when in 2020 hindsight of how much time there was and what would have worked and what wouldn't have worked. And, James Cameron can explore all these things that are interesting and there's no pressure and you can, explore all avenues and realize, A isn't an option, B is not an option. Just the human element of making a call being like, no, this ship is sinking. Contrary to what everyone is saying. Even when I say this, Bruce Ismay is like, what, you crazy fool? And just making a definitive decision of, no, it is going to sink, and we all need to get off this boat.
I love that line. She's made of iron. I assure you she can.
I assure you she can. I think just that element of just going against the belief of others and just being like, no, we need, this is happening.
He says it's a mathematical certainty.
Yeah.
And it is like, again, you can watch so much, like dive into so much, but like the architecture, the several little things that could have changed. So yeah, like it was designed so that the first 4 bulkheads could flood and it would stay afloat. It's probably not finishing its trip.
Good.
Like there's still someone coming to, and so, and that's one of the fascinating things, right? Had they tried to reverse the propellers to slow themselves as much as they could, like ultimately there's a bunch of things. There's like the way that some of the riveting was done. There was not putting the double side, like it had a double bottom. The ship had a double bottom, but it didn't have double sides. So literally on the other side of this like half-inch thick steel or inch thick steel was the ocean.
Okay.
The bottom had a double side, or the bottom had a double bottom on it. So basically it could scrape along the bottom, open itself up, and this bottom compartment would flood. But it'd be okay. But it didn't go all the way up the sides, which is something that now is done as a result of Titanic. There was a fire that was burning in one of the boiler rooms, like even from the time they set sail, that they were aware of and they were fighting. And so like potentially that weakened some steel a little. We don't know.
Sure.
But ultimately what sank Titanic was that they sideswiped it. Was that it went down the side and punched holes in it.
Okay, yep.
Right? So like tore big holes in some of the first couple of compartments, and literally the hole in the 5th compartment was tiny. Not like the size of a quarter.
Sure.
But maybe in the grand scheme of things, maybe the size of like a basketball.
Sure.
It wasn't a big hole, but it didn't matter because there was no way of stopping that. And it was the 5th compartment. Right. And so, like, interestingly, had the Titanic hit the iceberg head on, it would have really euchred the front of the ship. Like, they would not have been going anywhere. You would definitely be waiting for ships to come, but potentially no one would have died. Like, it would have stayed afloat. It was trying to get around it. That caused them to just like and really there was no head-on collision, which means they just barely didn't make it. And caused it to rip all these holes in the side. No,
fascinating
crazy stuff.
The one thing I'll wrap that up with, and 2 things. So I'm going to just say a last quick thought on the film, and then in the interest of time, I don't have a trivia question, but I'll limit it to about a minute or 2 of just rapid fire stuff that I just want to share with you that I think is interesting. But I think the ending of this film is great. I wouldn't change anything about it. My 2 thoughts are, I would just love to see more development on Rose's life past Jack, and we do see it in pictures, so I don't think it would actually be a better movie as a result of it, but I think it'd be so much fun.
An interesting thing about one of those pictures.
Okay, which one?
So you see the picture, you see that she like became a pilot and like flew planes and all this stuff.
Actor.
And you see her actually,
and in these pictures there's no kids and no spouses. They're just all pictures of her she brings everywhere.
And
which is weird.
She's riding on a horse.
Yeah.
One leg on both sides. And which a lot of people look at and they go, oh, and like that was one of the things that she promised she was going to do, right? That they were going to do. Yep. What a lot of people miss is in the background of that image is a roller coaster.
Yes, the pier.
Which they were going to ride roller coasters till they threw up.
Yeah.
So yeah, she really did go on and like live this full life that he afforded her. Because had he not, had none of that happened, Rose would have survived still. She would have likely gotten in a lifeboat. And likely would have married Cal.
Right, because it was the boat with her mother, right? So yeah, nothing would have changed for her.
She would have gotten that lifeboat with her mother and Molly, and Cal would have still weaseled his way onto some sort of boat, some situation, right? Because Cal ends up killing himself during the Great Depression. Like he survives Titanic, no problem.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, all my money's gone. There's no point in living.
He's got a child, so.
Yeah.
I think the tone is perfect at the end of this film. And there's some people who love the alternate ending. I think it's fun, but I think it would have really detracted from the vibe that the end of the film was going for.
I'm okay with the alternate ending up until they all start laughing inexplicably, like ridiculous maniacs. Like it's just not a believable.
Right.
It's almost like this semi slow motion,
right?
Like a 3/4 speed. Like it's the same laughter from the end of Return of the King in Rivendell. And it's like, what is so effing funny?
What is going on? All right. In the interest of time, I will look at the clock and I'm going to limit this to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Some crazy stuff. I just had to share because when else will we talk about Titanic if not now? So, bullet point, interesting things. Fascinating that I got it. I was at the library with my kids before I start. This doesn't count for my 2 minutes. And I found this cool book of Titanic trivia. And no regrets. It was totally from the kids section, but I was like, whatever. I'm totally checking this out with like the Peppa Pig books we're getting. But there's this girl in Ireland who, if not the exact same night, in such close proximity to the night of Titanic sinking, or before it wasn't after, a Scottish girl named Jessie Siri, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, had a vision of a boat sinking and someone playing the fiddle. And she had some type of scarlet fever or some type of ailment. And so she had this vision, and within hours of her own death, she also had these visions of Titanic sinking in proximity to the Titanic sinking. And you just go, okay, maybe this is 80% fiction. Maybe this is 0% fiction. That obviously changes it. But man, if there's any ounce of truth to this, how spooky and eerie. And I guess related to that, there's another point where a novelist wrote a story quite similar to the Titanic, and a lot of details about the ship and even the captain were quite similar. And then 20 years later, this author went on the Titanic happened, and he perished. So like, there's just, in life, but specifically with those stories, there's just weird things where if you just got to scratch your head and wonder, what is going on? This is bizarre. This is surreal. And if there's truth to some of them, it's truth is stranger than fiction. The tainted chowder during the filming of this film.
What's wrong with a little PCP? I mean,
I just found out about this yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I debated bringing it up in the podcast, but I was like, I don't know if it's.
I will bring it up for the listener who may not know this, like I didn't 48 hours ago. 85 members of the crew stormed a Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada emergency room because they had all eaten chowder that was laced with PCP and they were tripping pretty hard.
Sounds like a good amount of PCP. Like I don't have any PCP knowledge, so I don't know how much it takes. But it sounds like they were pretty messed up.
Yeah. And just apparently Cameron thinks it was someone trying to get back at a caterer because obviously after this they fired the caterer. So they think that was maybe the motivation.
What's amazing about this story, though, is that Bill Paxton, who was also affected by the PCP, went to the hospital as well. Jeez. Didn't want to, like, there's just lines and lines and... Like, so he walked back to the set, drank half a case of beer.
What a guy.
And just like toughed it out. And it was fine. Yeah.
The 90s, man, the 90s. There was this example of the Hart family, a family immigrating to Canada, and the wife of this family thought the Titanic being labeled unsinkable was flying in the face of God. So through the whole trip, she would actually stay awake during the night and sleep during the day because she just was on edge the whole time. And coincidentally enough, a huge disaster struck and she was ready. And unfortunately, a member of the family died, but herself and her children survived.
It's a good thing the disaster happened at night.
Right?
Like,
all disasters happen at night, don't you know?
Yeah. We'll be completely safe during the day.
Just something interesting I read, and just about the signaling, the flares that went off. And apparently, I'm not as up to date on all the James Cameron documentaries, so this was news to me. I guess there's some new evidence that when the crew members were setting off flares, thought they could see lights in the distance, but no one was responding, obviously, through the wireless. And new evidence suggests that one theory is maybe that some people were illegally hunting seals. And so, again, I just found that so fascinating. Just, the horrific element of people being within reach to a degree, and just, it didn't.
Yeah. A lot of survivors talk about having seen a ship on the horizon that just never came.
Right. Just chilling, really.
Yeah.
Just another contrast of first and third class. Third class had to eat in shifts because the dining hall wasn't large enough to accommodate them all at the same time. Oh, man.
Yep.
Something fascinating that...
Well, because the price of like a first class ticket was like, in modern day, it's like $150,000. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense just purely from like, if you and I were going on the Titanic today, we would both be booking third class tickets.
Third class. Oh, yeah.
Which was still something like $17,000. Like, it was still... Right. Like, I don't know where these people came up with this money. Yeah.
Well, you have to save, and maybe you overextend yourself, right? Like, that is your ticket to
your livelihood.
America, and you're never coming back. You're never coming back.
Fabrizio did not plan on returning. That was...
Fabrizio. Yeah. His accent was a little forced. The amenities, I think, are just fascinating. Just to actually think about the time, and just the fact that there were fresh cut flowers on a daily basis, and even just looking at menu items. And it's just, when you think about these things, where if I go to a hotel in 2022, it's like no big deal. Who cares? Old news. But just in 1912, to have the amenities like this on a moving ship, you just have to put yourself in the time and place, and it's incredible. You got to feel bad for the poor crew who stopped getting paid the moment the Titanic sank. So if you were in the minority, sadly, of people who survived that worked on the ship, they were in financially dire situations where they had to rely on emergency shipwreck pay from other organizations just to get home, because the White Star Line was so cheap and cut off their pay the second the boat sank. So
the crew are not well-off people. These are not first-class people.
No!
I mean, maybe like Murdoch. Murdoch's probably doing all right.
Sure.
And Captain
I'm
Smith
thinking
was probably pretty wealthy.
Coal shoveler number 3 or chambermaid number 4. You're screwed.
Yeah, the guy that almost loses his legs when the...
Oh, dear.
Which also, so by the way, that guy would have lost his legs. So the way those doors were actually designed is that they would come down slowly, except for the last foot and a half when
Which
they would
insane.
When they would guillotine down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there's some safety reason. There was some engineering reason why that was the ideal way to do it.
Sure.
But yeah, that guy would have been screwed.
And again, 27th time we've seen this film.
It's still
in the theater. I'm grabbing my chair, is he gonna make it?
Yeah.
The answer is
this time he doesn't?
Yeah, this time he doesn't. Last little piece of tidbit: Nurse Jessup, one of the lucky survivors of Titanic. This chick had a tattoo of a 4-leaf clover on her back. I tell you, there were 3 sister ships.
Wow,
Titanic
at the time.
At the time, along with she had a barbed wire tattooed around her bicep too.
Oh, okay. You're just screwing with me.
No,
right?
I'm just screwing with you.
Okay, I was a tattoo on a woman in 1912 is
badass,
pretty progressive.
Yeah. One of the lucky survivors, because there were 3 sister ships: the Britannica, the Titanic, and the Olympic. The Titanic sank. The Britannica sank, and the Olympic eventually sank, but of the three, it actually lasted the longest. Like the Britannica and Titanic obviously sank real quick.
Goes Olympic, on to be a warship.
Olympic, I think lived long enough to be involved then in the Second World War, I'd assume.
Yeah, it gets painted white eventually.
Yeah.
And it's a medical ship.
Medical ship. So yeah, it was a passenger ship converted in the wartime. My point is, this chick, Nurse Jessup, survived all three. So most people would get off Titanic and say, "Not till I'm 90 am I going on another boat." This chick went on
suing White Star Line at this point.
She went on all three of them, survived all of them, and and not only said, "You know what, burned me 3 times. That's it. I call it quits." She worked on ships till she retired in the 1950s. So this woman had a pair of. She was
gutsy. She had a pair of guts.
Yeah. What do you think? And that is all I have. So then we will just go into our rankings.
I just want to. I want to put one thing to bed.
I want to ask you. No, I want to just jump back.
Okay.
What do you think about all these peculiar things of like authors writing things of events that happened Titanic, or like anecdotal stories of women waking up with like feverish dreams and then dying and predicting the Titanic? Like, what do you buy those things, or are you just kind of like, hey, hokey?
It's one of those things where I think nobody wants to be a survivor on the Titanic and not have an interesting story to tell.
Sure.
And so I think, everyone's got their own little claim to fame.
Sure.
Yeah.
And even I think that's just human nature too. Even if it's just people claiming things that I was in Jamaica when this happened, this vision. People see what they want to see. People think what they want to think. That's fair.
Yeah. The shark was 10 feet long. And really it was 6, right? Like it's just
right. Yep.
You embellish and you.
The Titanic didn't split in 2. It did.
Exactly.
People misremember things.
Yeah. I want to put one thing to bed, finally, once and for all, and I think we've talked about it probably in our 2 previous Titanic podcasts, but once and for all,
okay,
because there's a lot of debate out there on the internet, and I think it's stupid.
Okay.
There's a lot of people, so the very last shot of this film.
Yes. Oh.
There's the debate.
Yes.
On whether or not Rose dies after throwing the heart of the ocean into the water.
Sure.
And that what we're seeing in the end is Rose's Titanic heaven, her version of heaven.
Yep.
Or is Rose merely sleeping and she's having a dream that, the dream would kind of make sense that that's something you would dream about. You just spent all day reliving and talking about and thinking about all these memories.
Yeah.
Rose dies. That is the definitive, and I'll tell you why. For 2 reasons. One is it's better storytelling.
It is.
Right? That
sadder.
That's what she was holding on to. She had this thing to complete, and she completed it. And we see that happen all the time. All the time. There are people who are like, my great-grandmother was on her deathbed. She was in the hospital. She was very, 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 very sick. And she was holding on longer than it made sense for her to hold on. Because her son, my grandfather, was flying home from this trip, and he got there and he saw her and he said goodbye to her, and like half an hour later she was dead. Right? So people hold on to, not that in this movie Rose is like near death and dying, whatever. No. But the other reason why this is the Titanic version of heaven and not just some dream is because everybody at that like wedding ceremony thing that happens, A, is someone who died on the Titanic. They're all people who didn't survive. And B, 80% of them are people Rose had never met. And so she's certainly not having dreams about them.
Right.
Okay, that is, I just wanted to put it to bed. Yeah. It's the better story. And it being a dream just doesn't make any logical sense. She's dreaming about these ship captain or ship officers and stuff. She's no idea who these people are. No, this is a special place in heaven where the people who passed away now spend eternity on the ship that killed them. That's heaven.
Right. And I understand that is the better story. And there's the little asterisk there that's like, what about Rose's actual real life husband? What about her grandkids? What about the other people in her life that she loved? Like, there's that angle of it too, but I think you're right. Like, I don't think she's just sleeping and having a dream.
No, and you know what though? Like, I don't doubt that she loved Mr. Calvert when she got married, and that she didn't have a wonderful family. But she did those things because she promised Jack that she would.
Sure.
Because that was the life that Jack wanted for her. And so,
yep.
You know, yeah. And it's okay to have, like, I think there's this delusion that, like, you know, oh, the person that you're with is like the love of your life, and they're, what some people are very happily married, will spend their whole life very happily married, but still have the one that got away. Like, it's this just, it is what it is. There's life and love and all of these things are so complex and so complicated, and so, like, it's not a fairy tale situation. So,
yep.
Yeah, cool. Scale of 0 to 10, how would you rank Titanic 3D?
3D. Is this
sounds so tacky when you say that? Titanic 3D.
3D 4K.
Now with more explosions.
Michael Bay. Is this film perfect? I was going into this theater watching experience trying to answer that. When I last watched it, which was in episode 50, I gave it a 9.4 out of 10. I went weird and did a decimal, and I'm not doing that this time. It's a story of so many genres, and I would give the first half a 10 out of 10. The fact that it's a period piece, I love 1912. The character studies are incredible. The romance is good. It's fun. So the first half is exciting. The second half, I'd probably give an 8 out of 10. Still incredibly good, but the whole life is short message with Rose at the end, it is melancholic. You see that she did do these wonderful things, but it's still sad when she passes away. And then obviously the incredible disaster that occurs. So the second half is good. It's just depressing. So I fell right in the middle. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I was really considering giving it a 10 overall. And the real reason I just kind of hokeyed around about giving it a 10 or not giving it a 10 is it's not perfect to me. I thought of some things that I disliked, and the soundtrack is amazing for the most part. I think I'm a little bit over some of the riffs of this Gaelic or Irish flute melody that's used throughout the movie, and the 90% of the soundtrack I love. That part of it just doesn't work for me anymore. And some of the writing I think is just a little bit lazy at times, or a bit too convenient, where, you have moments where Rose is in a room with every famous person on this ship, where, hey, Captain Smith is showing us his stopwatch, and he's giving us the behind the scenes tours here. So it's little minor nitpicky things. And so I could maybe still be convinced to give it a 10 out of 10 just on the merit of it being a masterpiece. But I settled on a 9 out of 10 being an incredibly, incredibly fun film, incredible to see in theaters. I would see it in theaters again, and it's still a rock solid movie in my books. What do you give it out of 10?
It's as 10 out of 10 as it gets. I mean, yeah, it's to me, it is a perfect film. And I can defend, I won't get into it, but I could defend those moments, right? Like, to me, it does make sense that if you are one of the wealthiest people on the ship, that part of what you've paid for this ticket is that you're going to get to see the wheelhouse, and you're going to get to see,
potentially,
that's just part of what is the VIP package.
The VIP package.
But no, it's undoubtedly a 10 out of 10. It's I think, as I've made clear in the past, from a technical standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, from just the accomplishment of what this film did not only behind the scenes, but just like just the way it all came together. I do believe it's quite possibly, if not certainly, the greatest film ever made.
Yep.
And and that's not to say, again, I'm not saying it's my favorite. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'd have to sit with that for a little bit.
Yep.
But it's like I can say, my favorite. I'm not into hockey, but my favorite or baseball. You're into baseball. I recently went to go see a baseball game with you accidentally.
Right.
Right. I can say this is my favorite baseball player.
Yep.
But I think the greatest baseball player of all time is so and so.
Sure.
And that's what this is. I think it's the greatest film of all time. I don't know if it's my favorite. If it's certainly top 3, it's probably top 2. There's a good chance it's number 1. But yeah, it's 10 out of 10 for sure. For sure. Very cool. I don't want to do improper fractions, but I would venture into 11 out of 10 if that was, because it is. I can't picture a better time at the movies than this. Yeah. Yeah.
No, cool. That's fair. That's fair.
Wrap it up, sir.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us. Please like, follow, subscribe. Check out the links below. Leave us a good rate and review. Check out our Patreon page. It's a way for you to help support the show. It's where we give you various perks for the various tier levels that you join us. And it's also ways for us to thank you by giving you the occasional bonus content, the occasional video content, the occasional input for giving us voting options as well. We're letting you tell us what we review and what we should talk about. So
$1 a month. As little as $1 a month.
As low as $1 a month, you can help pay for the coal to fuel the boilers of the ship of the Movie Men podcast.
Yeah.
And until
and merch. Did you talk about merch?
We have merchandise as well.
We got merch.
Not Titanic themed merch.
Not yet.
Not yet. And until we do this again in 25 years.
We better. We had better. Man. What will they do?
Titanic
4D.
5K.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could easily do like an 8K, whatever, but like 5D, 4D.
5D. Where there's just actual actors and you're on a boat.
I would see this movie in D-Box with the rumbly seats.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The sinking portions of it be incredible. Incredible.